So here are today's three big stories in about 3 minutes. So Ukraine has been just pummeled over the last 24 hours or so by Russia. Shelling, artillery, mortar, rockets, you name it. The most extensive shelling of the year. Over the last 24 hours, the enemy shelled 118 settlements in 10 regions. Ukraine reported a Russian attack on an oil refinery in response, but what Russia has been doing to Ukraine has been just pummeled, and you see it again and again. Guardian, you see it in the Kyiv Post, you see it in France 24. It's all there. Now, I was watching this, or rather reading this last night, and I was like, wow, hundreds of artillery pieces and rockets, and like it was intense. Okay, second story, and this was just a couple days ago. This was printed. Nobody believes in our victory like I do. Nobody, says Zelensky. Now, this was written by the same guy who wrote previous stories about Zelensky, but it turns out, if you get back into him a little bit, he's not necessarily a big Zelensky fan. So, unsurprisingly, people like Redacted, this is Clayton Morris at Redacted, did kind of a hit piece on him, taking the worst elements of that time story and amplifying it. I then took that same thing and went back into what Redacted said and showed how wrong they were. Redacted would do things like this. Well, Time said that, and Time said that. It wasn't Time, it was the author. And then Time, as we all know, is tight with the CIA. So the CIA said this, and you just can't do that. That was my first video today, was all about that. Then you had this guy who is one of Zelensky's, he worked in the president's office, Oleksiy Arestovich. He actually was the anonymous source from which a lot of things came, and he's actually running for president against Zelensky. So that's where they got the information for this piece, so it was kind of a hit job. But I unpack all that here in this particular video. Shame on the media for smearing Zelensky. Okay, and then there's another article, and this came out in The Economist, and this was about Valery Zaluzhny. I can never pronounce that. I'm sorry about that. So the general here gave a interview to The Economist, and it was actually well balanced, but you're going to hear a lot about how he says stalemate. He uses the word stalemate, and then at the very end he says things like this line here. Says, we need to look for this solution. We need to find this gunpowder, quickly master it, and use it for a speedy victory. Because sooner or later, we're going to find that we simply don't have enough people to fight. Now, he's not saying we don't have it. He said we have to win this because eventually we're going to run out. The Russians don't seem to care about bodies, and we do. And so that's the big story there. But you're going to hear it being carried very, very differently depending on who you listen to. I went through it line by line. That's my second video for today. This is my third. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.